Welcome back, my friends. Today we're looking at the XTU Max Pro Action camera. So XTU sent this out to me for a review to take a look at. I previously reviewed the S3 a while back, and I'll link those videos if you want to watch those. It was a pretty decent action camera. It had its issues, which I'm going to compare to this camera. I don't have that camera anymore. I sold it, but I do remember certain things about it, and I watched some of my old reviews and some of my old video to kind of get a grasp of what the issues were back then and see what's been addressed in this new action camera. I'm going to compare this camera is the GoPro Hero 7. Now, I picked that one because the price is about the same. You could compare it with the DJI Action. If you want to find the 7 right now used or new, you could find that out on Amazon or eBay or stuff like that. But the GoPro Hero 7's always been the one that kind of like surprised me after all this time, how good the picture quality is. So we'll see what that looks like compared to this one and all that comes with this camera. So one thing about XTUs, they come with a lot of stuff. I don't know what's in here yet, but I think I know what's in here. But one tip I like to pass on to the company is I would rather you give me extra battery, a good SD card, and the minimal amount of stuff inside as possible to save money on your end, or reduce the price of the camera less and save money on that end to have less stuff. All the stuff that's in here is kind of like, it doesn't really sell the camera for me, but let's just get into it. Let's look at what's inside and you decide whether all this extra stuff is really worth it. This might not be the box that actually comes with when you get yours, if you decide to order one. I think it should be called the Max Pro, because there is a Max, which is a little bit different. It slides off, and we'll do a complete review later on. Sorry, my desk is messy. My kids tend to use this to put stuff on. All right, whoops. All right, so the camera comes inside of the waterproof housing. This is the extra. This is a nice piece. This is extra housing if you want to go deeper than the advertised depth. And I put it out there what the depth is. You can go without the case. With the case on, you can go a lot deeper, more for scuba diving. Let's go ahead and take it out. I watched another YouTuber's review on this camera just to get a gauge on what we're dealing with here. So I had some things in mind about what the issues may be, but let's just, first impressions, looking at the camera. Good solid metal design, feels pretty sturdy. If I could throw it down the street and it probably would still work. Pretty scratched up if I do that, but it will still work. Does the lens come off? No. Not that I know of. That's just really hard to get off, but that does not look like it comes off. Front screen, nice little rubber texture around the sides. One issue that I had last time with the S3 was the doors. After they got into the water, they got a little, I wouldn't say rusty, but they got very hard to open. These look a little bit different. These little buttons here look a little more pronounced on the side. That button right there, and at the bottom, you can open it easier. All right, so on the side door, you can tell they might have improved the waterproofness of it, but a little disappointing. You have a micro USB-C and a mini HDMI out, it looks like. They haven't moved to USB-C yet, so that is that. It comes with the battery actually inside the camera. It is the same size as last time, 1350. Not really a fan of that noise, but okay. It's got a new chipset inside. It's a little bit faster, and the responsiveness of the screen is a lot quicker, I can tell. Yeah, it is. But we have your normal modes if you want to go through this now. Normal video, time lapse, slow motion, quick stories, underwater, car looping, and what's photo video? Does it do both? I gotta look into that one. I know what that is. So I looked into it via the manual, and it actually is a little more confusing because it labels it car looping instead of photo video, and it doesn't describe what it is at all. But you kind of used it, and it does what it says. So you take a video, and it takes random shots along the way and records them as JPEGs. So that's what that is. Indicator photo mode, normal photo, time lapse, time photo where you basically set it up and hit a timer, burst, long exposure for night shots, and raw photo. Now, raw photo last time was not very good. I even said in my video to just use JPEG. It's not worth using the raw, so we'll try that out too with this camera. So far, the responsiveness is really good. All right, let's see what's inside. This is an unboxing video, not a review video. Also, it does have voice control. Maybe we'll look at that later on. Let's see if all the stuff they shove in these boxes. Now, sometimes I do these videos just so I know how to repack it if I decide to sell it later on. But here we go, top box. I'm telling you, XTU, this is where you could save some money. I don't need all this stuff. All right, these are straps of some sort to strap it down with. Adhesive pads and ways to strap it down with zip ties and a wire cable, not needed. It's like a bicycle mount or a pole mount, that's fine. A micro USB-C cable, which you have probably a million of them at home. And then that's it for that side. Looks magical. All right, here's your smushed wind reduction for the camera. You put it inside there. Helps out the wind noise. That does work, by the way. Okay, here are a bunch of GoPro style of adhesive mounting brackets for like helmets, things of that nature. Not bad to have if you need it, but I don't think we need to. More GoPro adapters. I mean, it just never ends. We'll get into this. Another GoPro, a tripod extension or mounting thing. I mean, come on. The remote. This does work, but not needed. Lens cap. That gets lost in about 5 minutes. And a little adhesive. Now, all right, I'm gonna put all this stuff back because this is the first camera, maybe you use it, but it's a lot of stuff. Yeah. Oh, you need this. Looking out for you, XTU. Save some money. You don't need all this stuff. All right, what do I do with this? So, even though the box says XTU Max, this is the Pro. They sent me, and I'll put this on the screen. You can't see it on my phone too well. But these are the spec differences between the Max and the Max Pro. CPU is called the American Umbrella H22. And also, let me run down some of the things on here that kind of stand out. So the CPU is a quad core versus a dual core, 1.2 gigahertz. Also, the sensor size is the same as the Max, 1/2.3. And something about that sensor from Sony is that thing has been used a lot in a lot of action cameras, especially the GoPro is a 1/2.3 image sensor. The aperture is 2.8, I believe. Different shooting modes, like the previous Max before. This is not, I didn't have the Max, I had the S03, which had 4K 30, so it didn't have all this stuff. So it's just kind of like two jumps for me in particular. So now we got 4K 60, of course, had it in the last camera, but we have 4K 30 Super View. So we'll look at that, and we'll compare that Super View actually with the DJI Action 2 to compare their super wideness. We have 1080p 60 Super View and 1080p 30 Super View. So Super View has kind of been added to this camera, the Pro. So the Pros updated their lens coating process, makes the original backlight image more red, and the backlight red is normal after optimization. Okay. All right, so we have an improvement of battery life of 6 minutes from the Max. Looks like they've managed to tweak probably since the processor is better, it's probably making the camera function better, which is giving it a better battery life overall. They got rid of the HDR photo. Oh, that's a bummer because it was so good. That's a good thing to get rid of that. Didn't need it, didn't want it, not an action camera. Sorry. Alright, that is all I see from the specs. Again, some of the issues I want to go over. I want to make sure the doors work well after it gets wet for a while. I want to, of course, check out the image. That's the most important in these cameras, is what does the image look like. I remember that the S3, it was a very contrasty image and the shadows did not look that good. So definitely want to check that out. And also remember the responsiveness of the record button was pretty slow. So hopefully this new CPU more responsive when it comes to starting and stopping the camera, because that's pretty darn important. All right, so that's my first initial look at the XTU Pro Max. Who is this camera for? So I would say someone that's first getting into action cameras and has no other gear. So you never had a GoPro before, you have nothing to mount it with, that kind of thing, and you want everything in one box. This is a good option to go with. If you have other cameras, I think the price right now is about $170 with a coupon online. Its MSRP is like $199, which is I think the same price as the Action, DJI Action, the original, which is going to be hard to beat with this one. So I think XTU needs to win on their pricing, minimize things and get down to the nitty-gritty. Either offer it cheaper out of the box or give us an extra battery and an SD card. The main things we want. The microphone's fine, that does work. This is, I mean, I guess if it's on your helmet and you want to do that, start and stop, that's fine, maybe. Foamy thing is good if you do like a vlog style thing and you want to walk and talk and make sure that we don't get any type of wind noise. I know guys buy this for their GoPros anyway, so this is fine. All the other stuff in there is, just depends on the buyer, really. Really depends on the buyer. I will probably use this if I go scuba diving and I still have the camera, definitely. So that's a nice touch. All right, that is my unboxing video of this camera. We're gonna get down to it, see if it's good, see if it's decent enough to purchase, and we'll go from there. Have a good one, guys.